Now, who'd like to come and say hello? Well done, Harry. Well done. Come on now. Now, you have to let him make the first move.
Alright, this moment is pretty funny, but what if I told you that this scene actually encapsulates the message of the entire movie? Well, let's take a look. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, from a filmmaking perspective, is definitely the most rich entry in the series, and this has a lot to do with its director, Alfonso Cuarón. While the first two films, directed by the guy behind Home Alone, Chris Columbus, were more straightforward adaptations of the books, Azkaban broke away from this tradition by working as a film first and adaptation second. While it's still very loyal to the book, Cuarón injects his own interpretation of J.K. Rowling's world rather than trying to just translate it from page to screen. This paved the way for future wizarding directors to give each film its own unique identity. So through these first three films, we've seen the characters subtly transition from curious, awkward kids
Do you mind? Everywhere else is full. Not at all.
to angsty, emo teenagers.
Shut up! Shut up!
Okay, so it's not always that subtle, but this movie has a more mature, darker, chaotic tone to it. It seeps out of every shot, every frame. It's showing us how the world around us grows a little bit darker in time through this important stage in our lives. We go through so many different emotions as we're getting used to the changes, and the world isn't quite as fun and games as before. You know, sometimes we just feel alone in our teenage years. This brings us back to the paddock scene. Harry is isolated here. He's on his own, and he has to face his future, which in this case is represented by Buckbeak the Hippogriff. He doesn't want to. He's reluctant. He knows that's something he has to do. It's a part of growing up. And once he accepts that, he's free. The underlying themes of this movie and all the others in the series should not be underestimated or thrown aside. Yeah, there are a ton of goofy moments in this movie, but I think it adds towards the overall tone and the feel that Cuarón was going for. This quirky wizarding world. However, it's Azkaban that truly jump-started the trend of these movies being actual films and not just adaptations of a popular book series. And for that reason, I think that this movie and series will never be forgotten.
You betrayed my parents. You're the reason they're dead. He was their friend.
Only one would die tonight.
Expecto Patronum!
There are a ton of videos on YouTube about Prisoner of Azkaban and its impact on the world and the series and why it's such an important film, and I highly recommend checking all of them out. They'll be in the description.